Cramorant. Though Cal, I think, wants to go first anyway, regardless of the potential of that Cramorant attack, because he needs to have a turn to evolve his Pokemon. He needs to get down Sobbles, get down Palkias, try to find some energy so he can evolve into his Drizziles and, of course, his powerful V-Star Pokemon.
Yep, and we just got word that Tord is going first. So that will be the start of our matches. Can I just say, Chip, real quick, look at those cool hats that our judges are wearing. They're so cool.
Yes. I believe AJ there on the left, our head judge, he is, that's rocking a hat from the 2019 World Championships, the staff hat with the Eevee on it. You love to see it.
Sporting it. I love it. All right. So both our players here laying out their prize cards. This is going to be super crucial for both players' decks. Let's see what is in the prize cards and if it is that influential to these upcoming turns.
Double air balloon for Tord is a little awkward, as well as a switch card, but Tord plays, we've talked about before, so many switching cards.
I think it was like 18 switching cards.
There's a lot of ways for him to move between these comfies.
The mobility is strong.
A couple of supporters at the top of the prizes could be awkward for sure. Only having access to 3 Colress makes it less likely you'll find them early, and then Clara can be extremely important in the late game.
Yeah, most definitely. And here we go. There is the fist bump between our players, and we are now beginning our finals match of our Masters division.
And Tord, I think, is going to start this finals off about the best way there is to start off a game of the Pokemon TCG. He's got a Battle VIP pass in hand.
Yeah, I'm sure both of our players want to see that Battle VIP pass in their starting hand because it is so crucial to these decks. And so I'm sure Tord is happy with that, not having to retrieve it from another ability.
This is pretty smart from Tord before using the VIP pass, putting a card on top of his deck that is not useful right now. Cross Switcher. It's a very good late game card, so having it clunk up his opening hand makes things a little weird, a little awkward. So he went ahead to use that Primate Wisdom ability, put it on top of the deck, and then played a search card. He's got the Fog Crystal. We know Battle VIP passes in the hand as well. This can fetch out the first Comfy. Battle VIP pass can search out another Comfy and a Cramorant potentially. But that Cross Switcher is now in the deck. It'll get shuffled in, and he'll be able to look for it later on when he wants it. But for now, it's just not a super strong card in the early turns.
Yeah, just really displaying the different level and skill that you could see. You know, you're not just reading the cards that you have in your hand and playing out to your cards. You're formulating your strategy and all of your outs right away by just Primate Wisdoming that card back into deck, as you said, Chip. So there's the Fog Crystal conclusion there to search out that Comfy from the deck. As we said, there are more searching cards in hand. We'll see what else Tord has in store for this hand. Potential cards that can be played. Of course, Comfy now coming into the playing field here with that flower selecting ability able to be used. And that is potentially what we're going to see first, even before the Battle VIP pass, but we shall see. Because
potentially what Tord is wanting to do here, if he does use Comfy first, is he's probably wanting to have higher chances to draw into basic Pokemon, but no. We'll decide to use the VIP pass, get a couple basic Pokemon out.
Basic Pokemon are out, but that Comfy is looking comfy in the active position there for Tord. So searching out that Manaphy, so important for this deck, especially playing against another deck that plays that Radiant Greninja card as well. So protection against that little barrier on your bench there, and then also another Comfy coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, the Manaphy is going to be a hugely impactful card in this game. Its wave availability protects your bench, and Cal's great attacker in this matchup is that Radiant Greninja, being able to target down 2 Pokemon. And Cal actually does play a tech to deal with the Manaphy. He's got access to the Canceling Cologne. So a play he could do is Cross Switcher, bring up the Manaphy, then play Canceling Cologne, and then use Radiant Greninja to target 2 Comfies. That's kind of the play he wants to go for at some point in this game. And that exact reason is why Tord is actually playing 2 copies of Manaphy. So we'll see if Tord can find that second copy. If he knows that Cal has access to the Canceling Cologne, that's definitely something I would expect to see from Tord.
Yeah, most definitely. And there are ways to retrieve the Manaphy's out of the discard pile potentially too. Of course, we did see one of those Claras in the prize cards, but there is still one in deck, playing 2 total for Tord. All right, so we are just seeing multiple abilities right now, a total of 3 cards currently in the Lost Zone for Tord. Of course, those key numbers being 4, 7, and 10. 10, probably the most important for Tord's deck because it activates that Sableye
Yes.
that is on the bench there, that Lost Mine attack that is so important to spread 12 damage counters for only 1 psychic energy around and take potentially double prize knockouts sometimes from Tord, which is huge. All right, so now we are back
Oh.
over on Cal's side. Look at this
Oh,
hand.
wow. This is...
Is that a Drapion in there and a Zigzagoon?
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
no.
not good from Cal. No supporter, no Sobble, no search out, no level ball, quick
Wow.
ball, or battle VIP pass.
Just a bucket.
Wow. That can get some water energies.
When
I think we're going to see a rule the region here, Shelby.
Yeah, I think so too, Chip. Also, like when you're playing a water deck and you have 2 dark Pokemon in your starting hand, is
Yeah.
pretty ironic there. So, Capacious Bucket here searching out those 2 energy, of course, taking a look at the deck. This is the first search for Cal and probably the last search, I think, depending on, I didn't see any other search cards in the hand, I think, for Cal. So that is extremely rough and definitely not what you want to see as far as a start from Cal, because you want to get as strong of a setup as possible early game, especially you know, when you're playing against a 1 prize deck. But we are going to see that Galarian Zigzagoon come down for Cal, putting 1 damage counter on anything of Cal's choice here, opting to put on that Cramorant.
And I mean, this is just a pure desperation play. Bring up the Oranguru and rule the region. Scoop up net, get that Zigzagoon
no.
out of there, and Tord right now is probably internally fist bumping. His opponent had a pretty terrible start. There's no other way to put it. No supporter, no other Pokemon
No battle
in
VIP
play,
pass.
no VIP pass. So that is just 4 cards that are clogged up in Cal's deck for the rest of the game. Cal does not have ways to lost zone cards like Tord does, so those cards are going to be hard to discard, hard to get rid of.
Yeah, 1 training court, 1 path to the peak in deck, and of course that ruled the region. Taking out one of those stadiums, opting for the training court there from Cal. So now it is in the hand, doesn't come into play because that was the move that was used, and now we're back over to Tord. So really able to just take the offensive position, I guess, here on Tord's side. I'm sure very happy, as you said, Chip, fist bumping internally right now. But still, long way to go. Lost Zone is currently at 3 cards, so we are going to see some playing around of Pokemon here, some more Lost Zone cards. Tord, I think, dropped a card there, but we're all good. Okay, so here we go. Primate Wisdom starting off here, trading a card to the top and finding a Sableye off of that.
This cross-switcher play from Cal is a little annoying because it forces Tord to expend a scoop-up net or some other form of switch card in order to get it out of the active spot when you really want to be utilizing that to get multiple Comfeys into play. But regardless, Tord is still able to go for the scoop up net, pick up the Guru, go for the flower selecting. We know that cross switcher is on top, so maybe Tord is okay losing a cross switcher. He does play, of course, the full 4 copies. Might be a type of situation where you play 4 copies and just kind of internally accept, yeah, I'm going to get this off once per game. So I need to play the full 4 because I lost zone a bunch of cards from my deck. But as long as I keep 2 cross switches around, I'll have that play available.
Yeah, and I think Tord, asking how many cards are in hand for Cal, but there is a Marnie in hand, but I don't know, when your opponent starts like that, you are really risking it if you choose to Marnie here. Do you decide to Marnie to give yourself the hand that you potentially need, which Tord definitely does, or do you just hope that your opponent is sticking with a brick hand, but he's going to Marnie here.
It's such a tough call. I hate playing cards like Marnie whenever you know your opponent just did nothing on their last turn, but already by Cal having that slow start, Tord is at an advantage. He's already far ahead, so all Cal needs to get back into the game if Tord doesn't play the Marnie is like a top deck of an Irida or, you know, a top deck of some other piece to help him just reestablish a board and start getting into this game. So Tord doesn't want to risk it. Just play the Marnie, try to advance his board a little bit more. Even though he's not going to play any other cards, it doesn't look like he's at least played a supporter this turn so he can maybe play something like the Colress in his hand next turn now.
Yeah, and he is going to switch out Retreat, I believe, into that Cramorant there.
Can use the Guru again because it was scoop up netted, brought into the hand, so that is effectively a brand new Oranguru.
All right, we're just going to see that Spit Innocently spitting on that Palkia V there for the 110 damage. And look at this hand now for Cal. That Marnie was definitely a huge payoff here. We don't know what the, well, I guess we would have known what the top deck would have been, but I don't know if it would have been anything Cal would have needed. So yeah, this is huge. Having an Irida now, which allows Cal to search out a water Pokemon and an item card, and also had the Palkia V and the Radiant Greninja. So definitely a much better hand here for Cal. I'm sure feeling much better in this situation. But still, like you said, Chip, off to a slow start, having such a terrible turn one initial setup. So kind of on the back foot still here. But, you know, we've seen so many of these Origin Form Palkia V-Star decks come up from positions that are very behind. And we've seen Cal Connor do this several times in tournaments as well. So
Yes.
I believe.
Yes, it is not over until it's over. There's plenty of
True.
ways to fight back in these games. Cal just barely hanging on, though, not even able to find a Sobble, and he takes a useless VIP pass off
Oh,
the prizes.
Yep, taking that prize card, so going down at least one prize card here. Now we're on towards side of the board here. Starting out, of course, Lost Zone is at 4 now for Tord. That is how the Cramorant was able to be used. And now we're going in with a Fog Crystal to search out a Psychic Energy, and I think we're going back into the deck as well for Tord.
Yeah, there's another Fog Crystal he might be debating to play. He could hold off as well, though. Just go with the flower selecting first and try to see what he can find. Really would love to get into a Colress. I thought he had one in his hand, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Must have been that Clara hiding in there. So he would love to get into the Colress so that he can start to add more cards to the Lost Zone. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
really wants to get to 10, only at 4. It's a bit of an ask, but it is possible to see 10 cards in the Lost Zone to close out this turn. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. I want as many in the Lost Zone as possible, because the more cards you're getting into the Lost Zone, the more you're thinning your deck as well. So here's another flower selecting from Tord. It's going to be a Fire Energy and a Comfey. As the options here, Comfey is going to hit that Lost Zone.
Goodbye, Comfey.
Totaling a 5. See you later, Comfey.
Yeah, I think Tord is at minimum going to be attacking with Cramorant here. He does have one in hand, but this hand is definitely a bit awkward. Guru can maybe find him one other piece to work with, something else to mess around. Looks like it will just be the Psychic Energy going back in. He can now always fetch it back out because he's got another Fog Crystal. And Escape Rope was the grab,
Rope.
so that could get into another Comfey.
That is very true. So many switching cards in this deck. So many options. We are going to see another Fog Crystal, though, going back into the deck here for either a basic Psychic Pokemon or a basic Psychic Energy. Looks like it's probably going to be the energy here from Tord coming out of the deck. So what do you think? I mean, besides getting the Lost Zone cards, of course, upped as much as possible on Tord's side, Chip, what do you think the overall strategy is here for Tord in the next couple of turns?
Pretty much just attack every single
the
turn.
Cram?
At least put damage in play. Even though this Cramorant is unable to 2-hit KO this Origin Form Palkia,
Yeah.
it's still doing a lot. It's going to put it up to 220 damage, which means just a 60 damage hit from the Lost Mine would be able to get the KO on the Palkia to clean it up later on, and that actually maths out extremely well when you consider the 60 HP that Sobble has.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely true. Having to bench Sobble so late in the game for Cal over there is definitely a huge liability on that side. So we are going to see that 110 Spit Innocently, and now we are over on Cal's side, of course, already down one prize card and continuing the turns here. So grabbing a Palkia V out of the prize cards, I believe, with that Hisuian Heavy Ball going to be shuffled back into the prize cards and laid out. Also, Cal getting a look at the prize cards just to know exactly what is in there is also very important, too. So
yeah, somehow Cal's hand is still just terrible, even after the Marnie. I mean, it got him the Irida to at least pull off an attack, but there is just really not much else. He'll get a prize this turn, knocking out the Cramorant. He can attach for turn to the Palkia. There is a Water Energy in hand, but it almost becomes a question of should you even attach the Water Energy? Because if you top deck the Training Court, then that's a way that you could bump the path and use concealed cards. Though I guess Cal is probably anticipating this active Palkia going down, so there would be some energies in the discard pile to utilize.
That is true. That is definitely true. And we are going to see another prize card taken, knocking out that Cramorant here on Cal's side. Back over to Tord, continuing with this Lost Box deck here. Lost Zone now at 6 cards. And just continuing these turns, like Chip said, consistently attacking is going to be so important, and then also aiming to get that lost zone to that 10 cards to unlock that Sableye move, also very important.
And also really just building the hand size up.
True.
Tord's deck has so many different combos, so many different possibilities. And the way you have access to these possibilities is by increasing your hand size as much as possible so you can just do so much on your turns.
Yeah, because let's not forget about that Radiant Charizard as well.
Of course.
Towards deck, you know, that is a card that we see usually in the later halves of the game, especially when you're playing against a water deck, I suppose, even though damage isn't super important here because Towards Pokemon are kind of getting one shot anyway. But yeah, that Radiant Zard comes out last minute and can take a big knockout potentially on some Pokemon to kind of tie up the game, or not tie up the game, but wrap up the game as well for Tord. So lots of combos that could be potentially played out in the later turns.
Tord doesn't have a knockout on board yet, or an attack lined up on the board yet. Does get into the scoop up net here, and he does have Clara that he could play for turn, grab back the couple of Cramorants from the discard pile, and at least keep on spitting innocently. Could even use the escape rope here to lay damage onto something that is not this active Palkia if he wants to try to set up a spread damage play with the Sableye. But I feel like it can't be wrong to just take this KO either and go ahead up and tie the game up 2 prizes apiece.
Yep, but we are going to see that Clara be played by Tord. I believe the other one is in the prize cards, right at the top of the prize cards too. So there's only 2 in deck for Tord, and that is the first one that we're seeing. So those 2 Cramorants going straight back to the hand, as well as energy. I believe Tord took that back out off the Clara too. So all those cards going back to the hand. Clara, such a strong card for this deck, that is for sure. So Cramorant is back online, back on the bench, and we are going to see a scoop up net now here for Tord on that active Comfey, right into that Cramorant again, which would be taking the knock here on that Origin form Palkia V-Star.
3-hit KO works out for Cramorant.
True.
Well, Tord does have a couple of cross switchers in hand as well, so there is a line where he could have made some plays that way, but we'll just take the 2 prizes. Clara, Air Balloon, and Colress remain, and Cal top decks Echoing Horn. Can't even play it because Tord's bench is totally full. Has no energy, no V-Star, no supporter.
What is this hand? Cal even kind of getting a saving grace off that Marnie earlier in the game, but still, like you said, Chip, just, is this Rule the Region again?
It's Rule the Region again.
Second Rule the Region
for the same training court as well.
For the same training court. Absolutely bananas here is what we're seeing right now from Cal. So Rule the Region for the second time, searching out that training court, and then it's just going to be back over to Tord. Training court going into the hand, of course.
Yeah, this is a huge turn for Tord, a big miss for Cal as well.
Huge miss, for sure.
So now Tord really going to pull ahead in this game. Can, at minimum, swing for 110 with the Cramorant once again. He's got a plethora of switching cards as well, so we could see the flower selecting come through. Switching cards into escape rope, into manually retreat, all kinds of things could happen here. Just continuing to try to advance the Lost Zone counter every single turn.
Yeah, and that Cramorant's really, it wasn't even knocked out. It's just running away with being able to spit all over Cal's Pokemon here, which is quite sad to see indeed. Those innocent spits here from the Cram. So sad.
Well, Tord doesn't really have much of an option. If he could have found his Marnie and put that training court to the bottom of the deck, that really would have eliminated most options for Cal. But
true.
Cal is going to get to hang on to this training court, which means we could see Radiant Greninja next turn use concealed cards and try to bail Cal out potentially.
Yep, we are going to see another spit innocently there. Cal's going to top deck a water energy. So like you said, Chip, that training court's going to come into play here. Bump that path to the peak on Cal's end, and we are going to see that concealed cards. This is huge for Cal, Capacious Bucket and an Evolution Incense.
I mean, the
At
Evolution
least that's
Incense,
something.
yeah, can grab the V-Star, can keep on attacking, keep on taking prizes.
We haven't even seen a single Sobble out of this deck, Chip.
Nope, you wouldn't know that Cal plays them, but indeed, indeed he does. There are 4 copies of Sobble in his deck. They're just not showing up to the party just yet.
Yeah, Sobbles are gone. Fashionably late Sobbles here today. But we are going to see that Evolution Incense to search out that Origin Form Palkia V-Star. And now, finally, for Cal, that concealed card's bailing Cal out, just showing the power of that card, getting you out of some sticky situations sometimes. But still, Cal is working from a very behind position.
Yes.
Already 110 damage on that Origin Form Palkia V-Star in the active.
Draining Court getting utilized, bringing this energy back. I think Cal also has the Capacious Bucket in hand. Doesn't want to pull cards out of the deck, maybe? Or he's thinking about it at least.
Yeah, I like that, putting the coin on the training court even.
Yeah.
I dig it. All right, here we go. Oh, so getting a, taking that knockout on the Cramorant, retrieving a prize card there off of the Cram.
Now, Cal is ahead on the prize cards, but I really have to favor Tord with this board position. Cal just has not been able to establish much. I will say the benefit here, though, is that Cal has not put low HP Pokemon in play, right?
That's
There's
true, yeah.
no easy targets for Sableye to pick off, though it has meant that this game has been pretty scuffed so far from Cal. We'll see what he can do to navigate and get back in it.
Yeah, I mean, when your entire engine is just not even showing up whatsoever, it could be very difficult. I mean, we mentioned this before, Chip, the entire bases of this deck are those Shady Dealings abilities, the Drizzile, the Inteleon, and to not have that be accessible is pretty difficult there. All right, so Tord having to make the usual decisions here. We are going to see a switch cart into another Comfey, out of the active Comfey and into another flower selecting. Looking at these 2 cards, of course, Battle VIP being a very easy choice. Easy choice there for Tord. Of course, over a Colress's Experiment too. Like,
yes,
so
yes.
easy.
Definitely don't want to be getting rid of that Colress, and I think, in fact, I think Tord would like to play the Colress most likely this turn.
Yeah, I'm going to guess. And that is what we are going to see. So Colress's Experiment. Top 5 cards here. 3 are going to go to your hand and 2 to the lot zone. So some more choices here on Tord's end. But I'm sure feeling pretty comfortable so far with these because Cal has just been not having a good time so far.
A ton of supporters for Tord here. 2 Colress and
wow.
a Marnie. Does have to lost zone a Colress, it seems, and a Fog Crystal goes down as well. Wants to hang on to the lost Vacuum as a way to potentially bump Path. We saw him do this in his top 8 match, holding onto that piece, wanted Path in play throughout the duration of the game, but made sure to keep the Vacuum around so that when the time came, he could get rid of it, turn on that excited heart ability of the Radiant Charizard, and go in for a big knockout.
Yeah, blocking your opponent, but leaving yourself out. It's very important indeed. So here we go. And speaking of Path to the Peak, Tord is going to bump that training court for a Path to the Peak of his own. And I believe Cal playing 1 training court and 1 Path to the Peak. So we are going to see Path to the Peak in play for the rest of the game pretty much from here on out.
And Cal held off on benching the Origin Form Palkia V in his hand. If he had put that down and used Star Portal, he could have at least gotten a couple of extra energy cards into play. Now he's not even going to be able to use his V-Star power at all this entire game.
Oh, no. This is just very unfortunate to watch. Of course, not for Tord, though. That is for sure. So
yes, fans of Tord Reklev rejoice. He
yeah,
is
right?
swinging again with Cramorant.
Cal Connor fans in shambles right now, though, unfortunately. But hey, that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles. But we are going to see that Origin Form Palkia V hit the bench at this point in time. Capacious Bucket being activated for Cal Connor here, searching out 2 basic water energies as well from the deck. Well, how does Cal even attempt to recover from here, Chip?
Well, what this has done, the way that this game has gone so slow, like I mentioned earlier, there's no low HP Pokemon in play for Tord to target down, forcing him to just put 110 to 120 damage onto Palkia Vs over the course of multiple turns does make this a little bit questionable. I mean, we see Cal is going to go down to 2 prizes here. Tord Reklev is still sitting at 4, but all he needs to do is take 2 knockouts. If he can knock out this active Origin form Palkia V-Star and set up for the Radiant Charizard to knock out the final incoming Origin form Palkia, he's going to be in a really solid spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Evolution Incense searching out that Origin form Palkia V-Star. I also will note Toward Reklev's Lost Zone is at 11 cards now, so I don't think we said it before, but that Sableye is unlocked now, that Lost Mine move.
The mine is open. Dig away, Sableye. Go ahead and spread those damage counters.
Yeah, search for the gems.
Cal will play the heavy ball, just wants to fail it, thin that out, doesn't want to draw into it. We do know Tord plays a few disruption cards in the couple of copies of Marnie.
Yep, that is true. Okay, so
Cal has the... Yeah, we'll just go for the knockout here. Subspace Swell.
There's the knockout there. The prize card has been drawn now for Calvin Connor, going down to only 2 prize cards left. Back over to Tord, but like you said, Chip, Tord just has to take a couple more knockouts here, and look how much damage is on the board as well. Sableye now being unlocked for Tord too, so we shall see what happens. Going through the discard pile before choosing what to promote here on Tord's side, just making sure that he has all the outs, all the pieces needed for a potential play here. We do have both cross switchers in hand as well for Tord, but starting off with promoting that Comfey.
And top decking Marnie as well could be pretty nice, because Cal actually did just play Evolution Incense and put an Origin form Palkia V-Star in the hand. Tord knows that that piece is around. He also knows that Cal just put 2 energy cards in hand with the Capacious Bucket. So this could be a decent time to go for a Marnie, plus spread the damage with Sableye. If you can Lost Mine, 60 damage to the active and 60 damage to the bench. That would take you 2 prizes on the active Pokemon and set up the benched Palkia to be KO'd by Radiant Charizard, even if it became a V-Star.
Oh, yeah, this is such a close game here, even after a difficult start from Cal Connor on the right side there. But here we go, Tord still working through this turn. We saw the first flower selecting pop off there, of course, the Battle VIP Pass, hitting the Lost Zone, bringing it to a total of 12 cards. And then I believe it was another Colress kept, or may have been a different card, but we are now seeing an escape rope here. Radiant Greninja being the choice,
think twice about it.
Thinking twice and actually going for the Origin form Palkia V with that escape rope. Now Tord getting the option, of course, to promote whatever he wants to the active position, going for that Sableye. That Lost Mine is unlocked. 12 damage counters able to be placed on Cal's board.
Tord does bring the Lost Vacuum to the front. He's going to count how many cards are in deck. Looks like it was about 6 or 7. I wonder if we'll see that Lost Vacuum bump this stadium or put it on top of the deck, then go for the Marnie, and then he'll have access to that card still.
Yes, very true. We could see some, like you said, Chip, some potential Radiant Zard plays. You never know. So here we go. Oh, yeah, Radiant Zard coming down to the board here with that Fire Energy already attached.
And he's prepped the Lost Vacuum on top of the deck for this exact reason. He wants to bench the Zard, put the energy on it, make it a known threat, and play the Marnie. And he even could attack with the Radiant Zard this turn on the other end of the Marnie if he wanted to, and then leave that Origin form Palkia V-Star on the bench as an easy target for Sableye to close the game out.
Yeah, that actually is a good point, Chip. So we did see a lot happen there from Tord playing just flawlessly here, and Cal having to only draw into 4 cards. Of course, that V-Star out of the hand now as well for Calvin Connor. I think drew back into that Drapion that's just been chilling in the deck as well. So I didn't see the other cards, but definitely a disruptive move here from Tord. And we are just going to see that Lost Mine taking the knockout here on that benched Origin form Palkia V-Star.
This is a line where Cal actually does have a win condition. If Cal can use Boss's Orders and bring up the Radiant Charizard, Tord does not have Clara. Clara is left in the prizes. If Cal could knock out the Charizard with the Boss's Orders, he could maybe find a way to win. It doesn't look like he has it, though. Roxanne might be his only chance as well.
That's true.
Roxanne plus Hope. Tord can't get into anything.
Roxanne is in the hand. Benching a Sobble here as well on Cal's side.
put one in play just in case you get another turn. That's fine.
Yeah,
I think he
definitely.
will hold off on putting a second one down, as that would be 2 easy targets for the 120 damage of Lost Mine.
Yeah, most definitely. That is for sure. All right, and we are going to see this Roxanne here from Cal's side. So both players going to shuffle their hands into their decks. Cal going to draw 6 cards and Tord only getting 2. Of course, Roxanne's only able to play if your opponent is 3 prize cards or less left. Of course, Tord being at 2. So 2 prize cards left and going to draw into 2. And that means that the setup that Tord had with that Lost Vacuum is now gone at this point.
Yep, it is back into the deck. Tord does play 3 copies of the Lost Vacuum, so he's got a decent shot to draw into it. And let's not forget, off these 6 cards, Cal, while still having a very thick deck, has not had a chance to thin hardly at all.
True.
He needs to draw into a Palkia V-Star and an Energy.
Evolution Instance, so we're going to... Oh, wow.
That is pretty much
that
nothing.
That is neither, and Cal's going to scoop it there. That hand, I mean, like you said, Chip, not being able to thin the deck at all, not able to get the pieces needed in that entire game. Cal just coming up so short in every single turn, working from the back foot, and Tord is going to take us to the 1-0, taking that first game down.
And you can see, even with Cal not setting up as well as he would have liked, that was a really, really close game. And Cal had a very real way to win there at the end. He was not out of it, came down to the wire, but the cards from Roxanne just didn't quite fall his way. I do think Tord was still in a fine position and had plenty of outs, of course, to close out the game. I think he did actually draw into the Lost Vacuum off the Roxanne anyway, so even if Cal had found all the pieces necessary, I think Tord would have still been able to close that out, so we will be heading here into a game 2.
Ooh, so exciting, Chip. That was a great first game to see from both of our players. I'm excited to get into game 2 as well. We'll see if the initial setups change a little bit here for our players. Do you think Cal is going to opt to go first this time too, Chip? I feel like that's...
Yeah, you got to think that you want to go first with Palkia. Pretty much always. Going second is fine, especially when you can use Keep Calling. What I'm interested to see is, Cal kind of not by choice played a game without putting any sobbles down, right? But it almost worked out for him. I wonder if he ever kind of leans into that strategy a little bit, if he can more accurately play supporters throughout the game, which he wasn't able to do for most of that first one.
That's true.
I wonder if there's a path for him to win the game without using them, though he does have the text for this matchup with the canceling cologne, so setting up those plays usually does involve using multiple Drizzles. It's a toss-up. I think he'll probably lean into still using Shady Dealing, still trying to get Sobbles out early, because if you can evolve them up into Drizzles, you can get them out of play before Lost Mine really becomes a threat, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think definitely something that could be unintentionally noted, I suppose. But we'll see how it plays out here for Cal. Looking at these prize cards here, nothing too wild. Of course, Manaphy not stopping the Lost Mine damage counters because it only blocks damage, not those damage counters, so not too difficult here. Also, Galarian Zigzagoon, not a big deal. Cal is going first here. I did get word of that, so we are going to see, of course. Wait, was there just a pass?
Did Cal draw and pass, or has he chosen to go second?
No. Cal went first. I got word of it.
Wow.
So that is just a draw pass here from Cal.
Cal has nothing here. Look at this hand.
Look at the hands.
He's got an Irida he can play next turn. He's got a Drizzile, it looks like, but Cal tossing the hand down on the table. He can't believe it.
Shaking the head, too. I can't believe it, Chip. I cannot believe that hand.
This game
what is the luck?
could be over this turn, Shelby.
Oh, no.
Tord Reklev has started Cramorant. Cramorant can attack for free if you get 4 cards into the Lost Zone. All Tord Reklev needs to do is on this turn use Comfy 2 times and use Colress, or maybe work in a Lost Vacuum play somewhere. There are so many ways for Tord to find the game-winning play this turn.
The lone Sobble. Oh my gosh, at this point. Wow. Cal probably wishing opted to go second at this point.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty good when you start Sobble Irida, but there's no way he could have known that his opening hand would have been this bad.
Absolutely not. That is, but yeah, this is definitely always a potential there. You know, the percentages are low, but not zero. That is for sure. So let's see if Tord can pull this off to get a donk on the little lone Sobble. That would be incredible to see if this Lost Zone box can really showcase its power with getting those cards in and taking this knockout and just taking a 2-0.
Tord does have a lot of switch cards already in the hand. We see Escape Rope. We see the Air Balloon. This active Comfy can, once it comes active here from the Escape Rope, can move to the bench pretty freely into another Comfy potentially.
Here we go. Flower selecting 2 cards here. Are they both Comfies?
They're
both
Comfies.
I mean, that's kind of what you want to see in a way because you want more Comfies. So let's get that Comfy down 1 card now in the Lost Zone. We need to see 4 here and a switch back into that Cramorant to see this game for Tord.
He's got a Rangaroo as well in hand, so that's one more dig option that he could have access to. What he really needs to find, I mean, if he finds a Colress's Experiment off of this Comfy, that's almost for sure going to be the game because he needs to get the Colress and then just find a switching card. He can retreat into this Comfy, use the Flower Selecting. That's +1. If he finds Colress off the Flower Selecting, that would almost certainly close the game out.
Yeah, most definitely. And going in with that Fog Crystal to search out, of course, an Energy or a basic Psychic Pokemon going for that Comfy. So 3 Comfies down now, Chip. We just need to see a little bit more. It's really going to come down to what do we see off these flower selecting abilities. Of course, Air Balloon already down on that active Comfy for Tord, so having a retreat option already is pretty big here.
The rest of his turn really depends on this first Comfy because I don't think he has any other switching cards. He's got the Guru as 1 extra dig option, but if he whiffs any movement card, like a switch, if he whiffs a Colress here, he does find the Scoop Up Net.
Scoop Up Net. Okay. That is an out here for Tord, but it is coming down to a really suspenseful moment here. Now we have 2 cards in this Lost Zone. Can we get to this 4?
Scoop Up Net can pick up this active, reset it, send up this other Comfy. And then if he finds another switching card, that could get him into the next Comfy. This is the 3rd card in the Lost Zone.
3rd card. Let's see.
Double path.
Double path to the peak.
And I think that is kind of bricked out here for Tord.
So.
He can use a Rangaroo. So that is his one last option. If he can Guru into a piece that lets him keep drawing another switching card or a Colress's Experiment, he could wrap it up. Let's see what he finds here. Primate Wisdom, what do you have? He's hiding it over there on the side. It's a Colress!
It's a Colress!
It's a Colress! All Tord Reklev needs off of this Colress is a switching card. Any switching card will do, and he will win the game this turn. 5 cards to do it. Does he find it? Escape Rope. Switching card. There's the switching card!
There we go!
And Tord Reklev will win the Peoria Regional Championships.
Oh my goodness. Our regional champion here at our Peoria Regional, Tord Reklev, with that incredible finish. I could not have asked for a more suspenseful game there, Chip.
Wow, that is really tough from Cal's point of view. You had a terrible game 1, didn't get set up as well as you wanted to, and then you get to go first in game 2, draw, pass, and Tord Reklev finds the pieces to get the win, to earn the victory. Cal should definitely still hold his head high, getting 2nd place at these tournaments. I mean, it is so hard to even make it into day 2, let alone top 8, let alone getting to the finals. And what a match it was. Great, excellently played by Tord. Just navigated the situation very well, pushed his advantage, knew that his opponent was setting up very slowly, and then in game 2 just totally took advantage of the fact that his deck can deal 110 damage pretty easily on turn 2 or turn 1.
Absolutely, most definitely. That was a wild game to watch, and it is going to be that Lost Origin deck that takes the win there in our finals match. Cal taking 2nd place, which is still huge for this tournament. So congratulations to both of our players for those incredible matches.
Wow, what a finish there. It was so exciting. Even though the game itself, you know, obviously Cal just lost on the first turn. Not
Yes,
exciting in that
that's true.
sense if you just look at it on paper, but it was so exciting
It was
coming down
exciting.
to the wire, trying to find that last switching card. And that was just really expertly navigated by Tord, looking for every single piece,
Yeah.
playing to his outs to set up his board if he needed to, but also at the same time keeping in the back of his mind, oh yeah, I could win this turn.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think, like you mentioned, Chip, winning this turn, I need to sequence this flawlessly, pretty much, to make sure that I am going in the correct order, making sure I'm thinning all of the cards that I need to and going at the pace I need. I can't believe that Colress. I can't believe that was drawn. And you know, it's so wild.
The Guru.
Off the Guru.
Oh my
I was going to say
gosh.
it. Like you said, one of Tord's favorite Pokemon is Oranguru.
Yep, he loves that Guru.
Yes, and that is what saved Tord here, at least in the sense of being able to take that donk on the little Sobble. So yeah, that Guru definitely paid off. Definitely probably a tech we're going to maybe continue to see in future decks for these Lost Zone box decks.
Yeah, the early builds of this deck did not include
No.
the Oranguru. Most people did not have it around. They weren't really worried about having that option, but as the format kind of adjusted, we started to see it sneak into lists more and more, and without a doubt, Tord, one of the players who was happy to slot that card in.
Yes.
Just getting that one extra card. I mean, one card can make all the difference, and that game is a perfect example of that anecdote.
I know, and we've seen it multiple times this weekend as well. Yoshi playing the Oranguru and getting
Yes,
the boss's
oh
order.
my gosh, right.
I mean, Oranguru, Primate Wisdom, maybe just the lucky charm that our players need sometimes.
Play Oranguru. That might
Play
be the
Oranguru.
motto after this weekend.
That's one of my favorite cards, so I am super down with that motto for
Yep.
sure, Chip.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Ever since the card came out in Sword and Shield, it's something that people have kind of always kept their eye on. It's made its way into decks
There's the
here and
secret rare
there.
version of
There
it.
is,
the
yeah,
shiny.
nice, yep, the gold
So
version,
nice.
the trainer gallery art, which is what Tord was playing this weekend. So many different options, plenty of ways to bling your Guru out.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely a way to access them, too. I'm sure a lot of people already have that card in their collections already, so.
It's been around for a while, and it's been,
has.
like I was saying, a card that has kind of swapped in and out of decks. Not every deck will want to play it. It's not a staple like some past Orangurus, like the Instruct
Yeah.
Oranguru from Sun and Moon base set. That made its way into tons and tons of decks.
Orangurus are good cards.
It turns out, yeah. I mean, even with resource management Oranguru, don't tell a Pokemon player resource management, because they will start to have nightmares
Oh,
from,
yeah, that's true.
from that Oranguru from Ultra Prism. But this Oranguru from Sword and Shield base set has proven to be a champion, it turns out, alongside Sableye, Comfey, all the little guys coming out on top, winning here in Peoria.
And let's see what Tord Reklev, our champion himself, has to say about that Oranguru, because we have an interview lined up. So let's throw it over to Adam and Tord.
It's our regional champion here in Peoria, Tord Reklev. Tord, congratulations. What a phenomenal performance, phenomenal finals. I'm going to go with a very pointed question first. We've known you've used Oranguru in a lot of decks over a lot of formats. How does it feel to grab the win with Primate Wisdom this time?
That was amazing, actually. Oh, that like whole sequence of cards at the second game there, opening like the lone summon. I was like, okay, if I can just like piece together this puzzle, right, I can win this turn. But man, it was that was kind of insane. Like the final card was a Colress, and the final card was like a switch into the Gram again. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we watched him here. We were talking backstage. He, passes on the Sobble, and we all see the line. It's like, okay, he's got to get 4 in the discard and get Crown back in the active. It's as soon as that Crown rank comes back up, there's the win. Any nerves? You did. It was 3 flower selectings with no sign of a Chorus's experiment. When were we getting a little nervous? Was it the second one or the third one?
I mean, in my head, I had like already conceded the knockout for the turn right after like all my flowers selected fell. But I was like, okay, we're gonna run Guru, and if that's a Colress, and I think I switch off of the Colress. That was like the only line left. And
Yeah, it literally
somehow,
was. Yeah, we saw the Oranguru in hand. The guys and I were talking backstage. It's like, if he hits it, that's crazy, and it was. Game 1 was a longer game. You've played some longer games here this weekend. Obviously, Cal went up a couple prizes, on you. The kind of board position you took at the end, how important was Path to the Peak and like holding that together for you?
Honestly, I feel like Path to the Peak has been really key against that matchup, because it kind of blocks down most of their options. Like the deck is really good at targeting engines, so use Sableye to target down all the small things, like as an engine. So Sobble, Bidoof, Bibarel, right? And then the Path to the Peak turns off all the big things again. So that means that I can like effectively lock down most engines with this deck and like put on a lot of early game pressure. Especially like an early path is really strong against most decks in the format, really.
Yeah.
And then it also gives me an out to Empoleon, which was really key for me in my top 4 matchup. So.
Oh yeah, you did play top 4, and obviously we didn't see that on stream, but I was thinking about like, oh yeah, how did you get around Empoleon? But obviously you made your way around it. Congratulations on that as well. So thoughts about the end of the tournament. You obviously came in, Lost Box was probably the most hyped deck coming in. You're obviously one of the most hyped players coming in as well. Do you think, there was something about, how did you make it to the top of this tournament with that deck? Is it just practice or just years of experience that you've got guiding you?
I mean, it's a really difficult deck to play. You do like 10 micro decisions every single turn, like what goes in Lost Zone, what goes into your hand, and all these small things that really end up mattering over the course of the game, I think. So.
Yeah, I noticed you lay out like the discard and the Lost Zone so you can see everything. Is that just so you can track everything where it is?
Yeah, if not, I would be stuck searching through them again and again and again to check everything. So it gives me a little bit more control. I can save some time. So I just try to have it neat as well so that it doesn't look too messy. But that's what I do. I also picked the deck because I felt like the list I played was a little bit unusual with the cross switcher. Shout out to my girlfriend for that. And and the path to the peak was also really strong. I wasn't sure if everyone was going to play the version like that, and maybe if I play those cards, that could give me like a slight advantage or give me some surprise factor that my opponent really didn't know how to play around. And they've been really key throughout the weekend, so I'm really happy with my choice.
So how did she convince you to play the cross switch as your girlfriend? Did she just say, hey, you got to have this card, and you just, as you probably should, just agree, or did you actually debate it?
No, we looked through all the cards, and then she mentioned cross switch, and I was like, that actually sounds like a really good idea. And we tried them out, and they were amazing, so...
Yeah, well, shout out. You're giving him the good ideas. Well, congratulations, Tor. I mean, another regional goes on to an already pretty impressive list, let's be honest. But, it's got to feel good coming over from Europe as well, representing. What's the plan going forward for you? Obviously, we're now another big step to Worlds. Where are we looking for the next couple of weeks, months? How's that shaping up for you?
I'm going to try to do as many tournaments as possible, but I'm really happy to, actually go home and spend a little bit of time in Norway now. I've been traveling a lot, preparing for Worlds, all these tournaments. So I finally get a couple of weeks back home. But I'll be traveling, of course, later. I think Lille Regionals is the next one.
Okay, so you'll be back in Europe.
Yes, exactly.
You gave them a nice break. You came over here, played for North America, and now they have to deal with you in Europe once again. All right, fair enough. Well, I'll let you go enjoy the moment, enjoy the win. Congratulations once again.
Thank you so much.
We're going to throw it back to the guys on the desk to wrap up our day here in Peoria. Congrats.
Thank you.
Wow, great interview there from our champion, taking that champion title back to Europe, says Tord Reklev. So watch out to our European players.
Yeah, I think the European players have been watching out for Tord for probably
that's true.
a few
They're
years
used to
now.
it.
Right, exactly. We had to deal with him for a few months now, but he's heading back home and
with that title.
Heading to Lille Regionals soon, so we'll be keeping our eye out for him and seeing how he does. Always love following his journey and love seeing what decks he chooses to play for events. One of the best deck builders and just in